Hey everybody, this is Minion Soldier and this is the Piracy Show. Now, of course, this week, all the talk is about the X1. Can it do this? Can it do that? Oh, it looks like this. Oh, it looks like that. Blah, 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 blah. And yeah, I mean, the X1 is interesting, but to me, the most interesting thing about the X1 is the opportunity that it presents to players. And it's a great time, I think, if you're not sure what you want to do, or if you're somebody who's just starting out in the game. The X1 represents an opportunity to do something I think that would be really, really good and really beneficial to a lot of people, especially if they're indecisive, which is to take an X1 and CCU it to a Cutlass. Often, I see comments where people are like, oh, I like to hear you talk about these ships even though I can't afford them. The Cutlass coming in at $100 right now as of the making of this video, and I assume that once it's re-released in 3.0, it's probably going to get a bit of a price upgrade, so now would kind of be the time. The Cutlass is just, it's such an ideally situated ship for a new player starting out, someone who maybe doesn't have the budget to go out and get the Carracks or the Reclaimers or the Polarises or the Idrises or anything in between. For someone starting out, it's a solid foundation because this ship can do a lot of different things that you need it to do. It can haul cargo, it can haul people, troops, it can deploy a ground vehicle now. It can fight, and it's resilient, it's low maintenance, and it's supposed to be easy to repair in the field. These are all things I think are going to help a fresher player who's starting out in the universe get ahead quickly in the game. Whether they're just saying, this is all I want, I just want to be a Cutlass pilot from day one to day whenever, then boom, you're there, you got your ship, and you can just start going along with whatever your plan is. But if you're looking at, I want to have a solid foundation to get in the game and have a solid ship that I can use to then springboard up to better ships that I want, I think it's the Cutlass. Now, of course, its main competition, I would say, is the Freelancer, and the Freelancer is a good ship, but it always comes down to that low maintenance thing. I always look at it and I say, you know what, shit, that's gonna be something that's gonna help players out. It's one of those things, it's an expense that you don't really notice day to day, but over the long term really adds up. And so I think it's going to be one of those things. So having a ship that's initially low maintenance will probably help you getting ahead. One of the other things that I think benefits such a player is when you first get into a game, when you first start really playing a game and start seeing what all the different systems and all the different careers are like, you might choose to change tracks. You might sit there and say, oh, you know what, I really kind of liked hauling. I thought I was going to like, some short run cargo hauling, but combat's more my thing. I'm really getting into it now. Then the Cutlass can, once again, do that job. Now, there might be ships out there that are better than the Cutlass, but can they do all the things that the Cutlass can do? Can they also land troops and board a ship? Can they land troops on the ground? Can they deploy a ground vehicle? No, they can't. They have to go out and get different ships. And when you add up the cost of all those different ships to do all those different things, whereas you can get it all in one package for still $100, that's a pretty damn good ship. Just under a year ago, I gave the Prowler a really hard time. That was the stealth boarding ship or stealth landing ship, and I I made fun of it a little bit, and more or less I was talking about its looks and how it resembled another ship in the sci-fi universe, and I had some fun with that. But one of the things that really stuck out for me was that ship in and of itself. There was nothing really remarkable about it. There was nothing that made me go, oh my God, that's a $450 ship right there. No. I mean, I looked at it, I saw a $450 ship, and I'm just thinking, like, Polaris is only $150 more than that. And realistically, knock out the Stealth, and what do you have? An overpriced Cutlass. And that was one of my big, qualms with the Prowler was it's more or less a Stealth Cutlass. Fantastic. $450? Nope. And that's one of the things when I'm looking at ships, I look at them for practical value. Yeah, it's nice if the aesthetics are good, if it looks pretty, but I more or less look at ships and I think day in, day out, what's this ship going to be like? Is it going to be a pain in the ass to maintain, or is it going to be, a pain in the ass to fly? Or is it going to be fun? Is it going to be interesting? Is it going to be something that I can use for a lot of different jobs, so I'm not always having to hop from one ship to the other ship to the other ship? Can I get a lot done with one ship? And especially if you're someone on a limited budget, that's probably going to be the ship that interests you the most. And really, this ship and the Freelancer are those ships. But in the end, maybe somewhat because of a personal bias as well, but I got to give the edge to the Cutlass. Being a little bit cheaper and being one of the main focal points of Drake is low maintenance on the ship. That kind of puts the Cutlass in the lead for me, not to mention it's $10 less. Now, you may compare it to different ships. Like you might say, oh, well, a Vanguard Hoplite can go out into space and it can fly and it can also deploy troops, so... and that's a dedicated military ship. Okay, but see, the Cutlass does it at less than half the price. And truth be told, if the Cutlass stays true to form in its next version, it will either be equal to or slightly higher in firepower than the Vanguard Hoplite, and probably cheaper to maintain. Now, it may not be as resilient, but at less than half the price, that would have to be a massive difference in resiliency. And right now, the Vanguards ain't that resilient in the PU. In the end, it all comes down to this. If you want to be a dedicated cargo hauler, then chances are you're probably going the Hull A, Hull B, Hull C route. If you want to be a dedicated combat pilot, then chances are you've already chosen to go down the fighter route. But with the Cutlass, whenever you log in, you have options. Let's say you go down the fighter route, but then you get a mission and you say, oh shit, this is actually a pretty good mission. It gives a fairly good reward, or maybe a rep bonus or something like that. But it means I got to haul cargo and I don't really have a cargo hauler. The Cutlass can still do some of that combat, but it can also cover that end of things as well. It just means that when you log in, you have options. You're not stuck in one dedicated role. You can try out different things and see which direction you want to go in. And who knows, maybe something comes up down the road, a better ship that you want. Well, you can just upgrade from the Cutlass to that. So it's just a ship that from the very beginning, it gives you a lot of options, whereas other ships might be better in specific roles. They tend to restrict you to those roles. The Cutlass just really is that perfect center line, in my opinion, of possible ships to get yourself started in the Star Citizen universe, and that's why I love this ship so much. Anyways, while people are talking about the X1, honestly, this is what I think. Take an X1, turn it into a Cutlass. If you're just getting started out, great ship to start in. Anyways, that's the show for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and thanks for watching.